Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
So the issue with that and the issue I find is as of right now, I'm making a decision, and it's a tough decision because as of right now, there's not many people spreading the truth and doing this bold move that I am doing. So a lot of people just naturally don't agree with it. I think as we move forward and as the truth is unfolded and more businesses stay open, the people will start to get it.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Arthur, Ontario. Well, folks, you can add a little Futuristic Fitness to the growing number of businesses that have had enough of being locked down, enough of laying off their staff, of facing bankruptcy. Yes, the owner of Futuristic Fitness, and that would be Mitch Hewison, he has decided to open his gym illegally. I can't even believe I said that. Opening a gymnasium is an illegal act in Ontario in 2021. But that is the case, and as you can see, there are supporters offering moral support to this little boutique fitness facility. And all that remains is to see if law enforcement is going to come here and, well, basically do an Adamson barbecue smackdown. You remember that, don't you, folks, back in November? What happened to the rebellious restaurateur, Adam Skelly? Check it out.
Get back! He's got my wrist, bro! Get back! I'm just adjusting these guys. Shame on you, brother! Shame on you, brother!
In any event, we're going to go inside. We're going to speak to Mitch, see what's motivating him to open up, and we're going to be here for a little while and see if the Ontario Provincial Police are going to come and do a repeat of what the Toronto Police Service did to Adam Skelly back in November. The gym just opened its doors about half an hour ago, Vlad. How do you see the day going? I mean, are we going to see, you mentioned Adamson Barbecue, are we going to see a replay of that?
I personally don't think so. We know for sure that Tory is a tyrant, Davila is a tyrant, so I'm sure they will make it an example. I don't think it's going to go down as bad as it did there, but we never know. We never know. Like, the government is willing to take any measures necessary. At the end of the day, the government officials made a huge bet on ignorance and intimidation. And what's going to happen is we're going to lose big time because we're not afraid and we're very knowledgeable, and we're going to take a lot of action to ensure that everyone else gets the same information and truth.
Well, you never know who you're going to bump into at an illegal gym reopening, and I'm with Adam Skelly, of course. Adam is famous for Adamson Barbecue and also, I guess you could say, infamous for getting hauled away in handcuffs back in November. Speaking of Futuristic Fitness, A, what do you think is going to happen today? And B, I guess you're in the best position of all of us here to give advice on how to handle, a visit from law enforcement. What do you have to say to the ownership here?
Well, we've already had that conversation inside. I think he's doing a great job. He showed a lot of courage in reopening his place. You'll have to ask him about the strategies that he's going to be using. I've given him a couple pieces of advice on how everything went down with me and how he can avoid some of that stuff happening to him. They don't have Eileen Davila's not in the area to you try to impose all these unlawful orders, or Eileen Devil, I think, is maybe a little bit more fitting. But she's not here, so there hasn't been any problems yet. So you'll go inside and talk to him and see how he's going to handle it.
Well, folks, I'm with Mitch Hewison. He is the owner of Futuristic Fitness here in Little Arthur, Ontario. And Mitch, thanks for letting us into your gym today. I guess the obvious question is, what made you decide to illegally open your gym today?
Yeah, thanks for showing up, Dave. So what made me stay open and the reason behind it is at this point, these lockdowns, they don't really have any scientific data backing them. The big problem I have is, we're dealing with an airborne illness and these lockdowns are supposed to stop the spread of this airborne illness. But what's occurring is they're leaving the large establishments open with high volumes of people coming in and out. To me, that doesn't make too much sense. That's not the way to go about it. Another thing is fitness industries, I think, are suffering right now. I want to try and encourage other fitness facilities to open up and stand strong. And we are, we play a an important role in the health and well-being of others. The things that are going to protect you in terms of building a strong immunity, vitamin C, vitamin D, omega-3s, omega-6s, staying active, healthy respiratory system, those are all things we teach, and that's our profession, right? So I think we are absolutely part of the answer to all this. We're being, unfairly treated, I believe. And I sit here each and every day, and I have 3 fast food establishments right beside me. They have people coming in and out all day, right? I think, if there's going to be some, if they're going to lock us down, it needs to be across the board. I've cross-examined other countries that have had success, Finland, Taiwan, New Zealand. They did a very different style lockdown at the very beginning. They shut down travel. We're still having travel in and out from hotspot countries, which I think is alarming. And that's the reason why we have different genetics and strains coming from different countries, immigration from hotspot countries as well. For these lockdowns to continue, especially in the fashion that they are rolling them out and keeping the large establishments open, it's really not a solution. What's going to happen is businesses just like mine, just like other businesses, they're going to continue to go under. The funding that's available is not sustainable, and that's why thousands of people are losing their businesses. At the end of the day, also, I believe, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I think those fundings will get less and less as we move forward. You can't just rely on these fundings and then close your doors, and the people are going to get used to shopping somewhere else, and that's what's happening today. Over the last year, 30% of money has been transferred from middle class to the corporations, and those are statistics I've pulled from different sources, CFIB, and some different political leaders that have shared those statistics, so fairly accurate, and that percentage is projected to grow over time. So it's not right. It's not right to do this, not in this fashion. And I think my main reason is just spreading information, spreading the truth as we move forward, and encouraging other business owners to do the same.
And Mitch, you mentioned earlier science, and that's what we're told by those in government, by those in the bureaucracy. We're basing our decisions on science, and yet we can go to a big box store. There are hundreds of customers in there. There is no social distancing going on. I look at your small boutique fitness gym here, and I would imagine you would be very well situated to have social distancing, to sanitize the equipment.
Absolutely.
And the point I'm making is that you could embrace the science far better than a Costco or a Walmart could. So why are they allowed to be open? And here you are probably anticipating the OPP are going to show up any minute now.
And that's the reality behind it is if you want to get scientific about it, right? The majority of all people who are dying from this are coming from old age homes. That's pulled from Statistics Canada and CCTV. 90% are coming from senior homes. That being said, and what is alarming, and the number that they continue sharing, is the rising in cases and the case number, and that is an alarming number. But the positive part about it is the fact that I am in contact directly with a number of hospitals in multiple cities, Orangeville, Guelph. I have frontline healthcare workers that are supporting my movement and are providing information. They come here, they exercise every day. They're telling me ICUs aren't overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases. They're not seeing a large number of people coming in with COVID-19. That being said, that infectious rate being so astronomical, but people aren't going to the hospital, then we're really trying to just deal with the symptoms and the illness itself. And the science behind that is enforcing vitamin C, enforcing vitamin D, having the proper minerals and nutrients in your body, omega-3, omega-6, and staying active and having a healthy respiratory system. And that's the science behind it.
And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, don't you find, Mitch, there's a perverse irony here to the fact that we have seen for decades messaging from government, messaging from the Participation Organization. I remember back in the 70s, the average 30-year-old Swede was as healthy as the average 30-year-old Canadian was about the same fitness level as a 60-year-old Swede. But the point is, there's been an emphasis on getting fit, on wellness, on leading a healthy lifestyle. How does it work that locking people out of a gym is going to contribute to a healthy lifestyle, especially when you have a premier, Doug Ford, who was advocating for people to stay in their home and bake cherry cheesecake.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of propaganda going around. I mean, even CTV, they put on a little bleep about me. And right after, there's a police officer saying that they suggest that everyone stays inside. Well, there goes your vitamin D that I talked about, right? So, the way that they're going about it, the message that they're sending, it's not correct. It's and it's a fear campaign. They're being, they're having great success with it. And it's all about oppression. At this point, small businesses are being targeted. Enough is enough.
And Mitch, what do you make? We've seen in the last several days elected officials from right across Canada telling everybody, stay home, don't violate your social bubble, don't travel. And then they're all buggering off to the Caribbean or Hawaii. It just seems to me that are we living in a situation where it's one law for me and one law for thee?
Oh, for sure, and I think it's all unconstitutional. I think they can go about living how they want, and at the end of the day, they know that none of this is correct or accurate. So guaranteed they're going to go on travel. Guaranteed they're going to be out and about and doing their everyday things because they at this point I think they know they're lying to the population, and it's the truth is going to come out sooner or later. So yeah, I definitely don't agree with the message that they're putting across, and I think that they are just targeting the people, and it's an attack on our human rights, and it's an attack against the charter.
And Mitch, what has been the reaction of your membership? I would imagine many people are joyful that you're reopening. They can finally get back to the gym. However, there's always that element, we call them the COVID Karens, that are ready to rat you out and are probably poo-pooing you for disobeying the regulations. What kind of feedback have you received?
So the issue with that and the issue I find is as of right now, I'm making a decision, and it's a tough decision because as of right now, there's not many people spreading the truth and doing this bold move that I am doing. So a lot of people just naturally don't agree with it. I think as we move forward and as the truth is unfolded and more businesses stay open, the people will start to get it and the people's perspective will change. Because I'm one of the first ones, so first of few, I'm having a lot of negative feedback. That being said, I believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That's why I'm doing this, is to encourage others, spread the right message. Back in August, and one thing I am grateful for is I had a lot of support from this community, which was nice. I accumulated 100 clients right off the bat within the first, month and a half. My issue is I've been following the data and the statistics on this, and I know what's going on. But what happened was that back in October, they started with this second wave, and the fear came out in the media again, and my clients dropped off, and that's why I'm doing this. I have to move forward. I have to spread the truth. I have to let people know that they don't need to be scared. The majority, and like I said, the majority of everyone is getting over this in the comfort of their own home. It's unfortunate, and I think medicine, and I'm not sure what's going on in long-term care facilities. Numbers are above average in terms of the deaths. 90% of people that are dying are in long-term care facilities, and I don't know if they're getting the proper treatment, and I'm a little bit concerned with that. I think there needs to be investigation moving forward. That being said, if you're a fairly healthy individual and you don't have anything to worry about, I think people's freedom is very important right now. More businesses need to stand up against this. And I do have procedures in place. I mean, I sanitize each and every day. As you can see, I come in with the same, procedure each and every day. I sanitize everything, wipe it down, mop the floors, I vacuum my rugs. I make sure the place is fairly clean each new day. And then I have rules in place that I enforce, and I've changed them a little bit to be COVID compliant. And, I ask that people wear a mask when they first come in. I have a health exemption. I grew up with asthma, and I grew up on a CPAP machine. I'm very prone to bacterial pneumonia, and I have very sensitive lungs. That being said, I understand how it is wearing a mask and not wanting to wear a mask, being very uncomfortable very quickly. So that being said, I try not to push it too hard. And I think, everyone's free to make that decision. I do understand there is science behind holding back droplets and things like that. So that is something that I have as a rule. And then again, I'm giving my clients a spray bottle, a cloth, they're spraying down all the equipment while they're here, and I make sure that they're doing that. And yeah, so we have procedures in place, socially distancing, and I make people sign off on that waiver. So, that's what I'm doing and that's the best I can do, right? In terms of a small facility, and I don't get too many people in and out of here anyways. For example, and like I was saying before, the Walmarts, the fast food places, they have a far larger volume of people coming in and out, and they don't have the same sanitation procedures in place. I mean, when I go to a front desk and I'm ordering, food from, Pizza Hut, or, I put my hands on the desk, or I even breathe on the desk, there's not someone there cleaning it off right after, where here, people are cleaning off everything they use, so that's the difference, and that's why I think gyms, they aren't where that spread is occurring.
And we know that, don't we? I mean, I think the association that represents fitness facilities, they say when it comes to the tracking of COVID cases, it's not even 1 percentage point that go back to gyms, and I think too, Mitch, that with what we've seen because of these lockdowns, businesses decades old going out of business, thousands of people laid off, depression soaring, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, spousal abuse. Many would argue that the cure is worse than the curse.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I had a gentleman actually sign up. He's a first responder, a firefighter. He supported me very early on in making my decision and staying open. He's out of town. He actually came in. He's from the city. He's from Cambridge. That's one thing he shared from me, and I know very well. I know, and he's told me suicides are way through the roof, and he's getting more and more suicide calls, and it's terrible. Overdoses, and that's a result of that change in funds and the 30% going from middle class to those corporations. People are under financial burden. They become self-destructive because they don't know where to turn. I'm here to try and provide hope and provide encouragement. And I hope my proceedings and how I move forward, I hope it has a very positive outcome, because then it will encourage others to stand strong as well.
And speaking of others, we saw there's a growing mob of supporters, many of whom have driven about 2 hours to get here from the city. And one of them is none other than Adam Skelly of Adamson Barbecue. I think he was in a little earlier on. We saw what happened at Adamson Barbecue. I thought it was a disgrace. You actually had the mounted unit come in. He was handcuffed, hauled away in a police cruiser, spent a night in jail. What do you think, Mitch, is going to happen as the day goes on? Are you expecting law enforcement to come here and do a Adamson barbecue on your gym?
Well, and it could very well happen. I've prepared myself mentally for that. My first day and my first interaction with them was on Monday last week, and it wasn't too bad of an interaction. It was a little bit negative, I'll admit. I had a police officer show up here after hours. My doors were locked. They actually lock automatically. They're automated after 7 p.m. He showed up at 7:10, knocked on my door. I had just finished a workout with some of my guys. Finished eating my turkey, got up, and I went outside to speak with him. And he asked me for my identification. I came inside, and he kind of pulled the door open after me and mumbled under his breath, "I'm coming in there," and then proceeded to kind of engage with my clients in a very aggressive way, telling them to get out. I then turned around and I said, "No, listen, this is a restricted area. My door was locked when you showed up. You were not invited in. You just proceeded and engaged in an unlawful entry and a forced entry, and I'll speak to you outside." I took him outside, and then my very first thing was I just asked him, I said, "Are you familiar with the rights and Charter of Rights and Freedoms, sir?" He told me yes. That was all he said. And I said, "Well, do you realize moving forward, that charter is going to trump everything that you give me today moving forward in court?" And he says, "Yeah, well, it's my decision." And he goes back into his cruiser, and he comes out, gives me the summons to court. It's under the Reopening Act. He tries to scare me by saying, your penalty is going to be $100,000.
$100,000? Can you afford to pay a fine like that?
No, I can't afford to pay a fine like that, but I know that this is going to end in a positive way. At the end of the day, people are going to find out eventually that we are not under a real state of emergency, and that's what they're claiming. That's what it says on the ticket. We're under a state of emergency. We're in fact not. When I have healthcare providers, frontline healthcare providers, telling me that this thing isn't serious, I know the truth, and it's all about spreading that truth. And I'm prepared for for them to do whatever they're going to do. But I also know as well that there's a lot of police that support what I'm doing. I've actually had police reach out to me personally and tell me that they support my movement, they support my decision. That being said, I think there's a little bit of divide within the police force itself, where some people do not agree with this and some people are enforcing it. That being said, if we move together as a strong collective, I think justice will be served in terms of having the right people accountable for all this. And I think people like myself, people like Adam Skelly, we already know, this isn't going to stand up in court.
And you're right. I would like to think most in law enforcement, their hearts are not in this. They know that you're just a guy trying to make a living. And then again, you have that, statistical anomaly, I guess, where, my colleague Tamara Ugolini did a story of someone at a Coburg gym actually being shot twice with a taser because he was working out illicitly or not wearing his mask correctly or something like that. So, let's hope it doesn't come to that. And let me ask you too, Mitch, do you have legal representation or?
No, so I don't have legal representation as of right now. I've done a little bit of digging myself, and I have some outreach, from the specific people like Rebel News. You guys have offered to assist me in moving forward with my legal proceedings, which is great. I think, anyone who moves forward with this is going to win, hands down. So no, it's great that you guys have provided me that service and offered that service. And I hear that you're also providing it to other business owners as well, which is great.
Indeed, we have a portal called iwillopen.com, and that's the offer I was just going to make to you on camera formally, that if you do get ticketed, we will provide a lawyer, a top-notch criminal lawyer, to fight the fines. It won't cost you a nickel. Everything will be crowdfunded. And because, you've got enough on your plate. You don't have to worry. We don't want you to have to worry about going to court and fighting in the judicial system. So, heard a little buzz out there. So, that's what we can offer you. If indeed you do get ticketed, we'll come back here and do an addendum to this story that we are going to represent you legally under the I Will Open portal.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think more businesses, you guys supporting us in that way will encourage more business owners to stay open. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make all this go away. One thing that, positive reinforcement in regards to making my decision is I know people are already going through court proceedings and they're going to be finished far before mine is. That being said, my tickets and my summons and that, it'll probably be thrown out before I even get to court anyways. But, I appreciate the help anyways. I think, we need more outlets like Rebel News supporting the good fight and supporting business owners. And I appreciate everything you guys have done and everything you guys have offered.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. And I want to thank you again, Mitch, for making time. And by the way, when are your first clients going to come in to pump some iron today?
So I've already had a few of my regulars in. Honestly, it gets a little bit quiet here in the afternoon, and it's good because everyone kind of showed up now, so good timing. But yeah, it gets a little bit, people come in the evening time. That's kind of my busier time. So yeah, there should be more clients showing up anytime now.
Okay, well, we'll be hanging around just in case we see a repeat of the mounted unit coming into Futuristic Fitness here. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. And in the meantime, all the best to you moving forward in 2021.
Yeah, that's great, Dave. Thank you for meeting with me. Gotcha. I appreciate it.
Folks, are you sick and tired of politicians and bureaucrats telling you that you cannot open your business? Well, if you're going to take a rebel stance and open the doors, please go to iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com. Reach out to us and we'll tell your story to the world.